we are one episode away from the Daredevil Born Again Season 2 finale. So, I'm going to break down and review Daredevil Born Again Season 2 Episode 7, The Hateful Darkness. My one issue with this episode, before I even get into it, is that it's 44 minutes. It's the shortest episode of this season. I don't know if it's the shortest episode of the show. I think that might be Season 1, Episode 5, the bank episode. Unless you're including the Netflix era, even though I think that all three of those seasons are longer than this. But anyway, that's the only thing I don't like about it. This episode was awesome, and I really can't wait for that finale. I love the show. I love talking about it. I love, every single episode. There's one out of all 5 seasons that I think is fine. And even then, those last 60 minutes of that episode, which is Season 3, Episode 10, Karen Page's backstory, is still good. And, yeah. But, so we start off with Matt scoping out the aftermath of the protest that happened in the previous episode. You get a shot of Avengers Tower, which I think is awesome that it's, just in Daredevil. But you get him just, in a suit, looking around with his radar. And then you get a little scene with Fisk kind of getting ready for the day. He grabs the earring that goes with the earring that Heather stole in the previous episode. And that will come back. And then Karen is getting put into prison. She's giving all her effects and stuff. She's trying to change her clothes to the prison uniform. And they're just, taking her handprints and everything. And then Fisk shows up to talk, and he starts talking about how she is working with a vigilante who's going against the law and everything, and he's in the name of love. And then he has this laugh where he's just ha! He just does that out of nowhere, and it is kind of a jump scare because it's just geez, dude, we've never heard you do that before. And then Karen kind of walks up to him through the bars and is you're scared. I kind of like it. And he's I'm not scared. And then they have a little bit of back and forth, and then he chokes her, and you can see he kind of wants to do it, but then he lets go and just leaves. And he's you have one phone call, you better make it a useful one. And then you get the title intro, and then you get a scene with Mr. Charles and Jessica, where he's sleeping, and then he wakes up, and the way he wakes up, Matthew Lillard is fantastic. And then she's just kind of pissed, and she's you sent your men to my house to attack, and he's no, I did not. I sent them just to kind of tell you to not doing it. I didn't know that they were going to do that. And she's just with my daughter there, and he's I would never do that. I love children. I don't. And then she's I want to kill you, and he's I really hope you don't, and I don't think you can. And she's kind of making fun of him because he's sitting there in a shirt and his underwear, he doesn't have pants on. She's you have very limited options. And he's just I don't think you can. A little birdie told me that you lost your powers. And then he ends up bringing up Luke Cage, which is the first mention of Luke in the show. And he's Luke's overseas, and he's just fighting the Lord's work and kind of making sure that you're not in it. And then they talk a little bit about Fisk and the governor, and she's just you better stop helping Fisk. And he's yeah, I'm not gonna help him anymore, especially after he stole my guns that we were gonna sell, so thanks for that, by the way. But he's just I'm not working for Fisk anymore, I'm trying to take him down. But the governor is probably in major trouble, basically hinting Fisk is probably gonna end up trying to kill her. So the next scene is Matt and Jessica on the rooftop, and Jessica's just trying to kind of relaying the information hey, this guy told me that Fisk is probably going to try and kill the governor. And then Cherry shows up, which I think is the first time we've seen him since episode 2. And Matt kind of introduces him to Jessica, and he's just I love your work, as a PI. And he's Karen has been moved to the 15th precinct, Fisk. And then he's Fisk is doing it legally. She got her fingerprints taken and all this stuff. And so Matt's just holy crap, he's actually doing it legal. Which kind of is a way that it's Matt, if you do try and break her out, then you definitely will be, like, the bad guy. At least in this case. And I thought that was really cool. And then, Cherry leaves and talks to Jessica, and he's just like, I hope you stick around. We could use you. And then, Matt's kind of like, and she's like, no, I came here to do what I wanted to do. I got Charles off the back of me, and so that makes sure that Danielle's safe and all that. And then she's like, don't die, because the city needs you. And she's like, Fisk needs to be put down. And then you get a scene with Dex and Matt, where Matt, uncuffs Dex, and so Dex starts doing his, like, cracky thing with his knuckles, and, Matt's like, you want to do one good deed? I got it for you, but before we even talk about that, I just want you to know that I hate you. I hate you for killing Foggy, I hate you for killing Father Lantum, and I hate you for killing Nadim. Part of me wants to kill you, but part of me has to forgive you. And then, Dex is like, thanks. And so, Matt's like, just disappear. I don't care what you do, just leave, die. I don't care. But if you wanted to, tip the scales, like, do your one good deed, I got it for you. And Dex is like, I don't make any promises. And Matt's like, if you did, I wouldn't trust you. And Dex is like, what do you want me to do? And I really like that, where it's like, they don't team up. Because I hope Dex is in the next episode. I hope that they don't just wait until season 3 to show him. But I'm happy that he's going to be in season 3. Wilson Bethel already confirmed that he's going to be in season 3. But I like how they don't necessarily team up, but, like, Dex is going to do something for Matt. And I think that's really cool. And then you get the return of Detective Mahoney, who we have not seen. In universe, we have not seen either since Daredevil season 3 or Punisher season 2, because I can't remember which one comes first. I think it goes Daredevil season 3 and then you watch Punisher season 2, but it might be season 2 and then no. We have not seen him since season 2 of Punisher if you watch it in timeline order. So it's just really cool seeing him return, and he kind of shows up to Karen and kind of gets her out of the jail cell and takes her out back, and Matt is there waiting, and Mahoney's just like, I don't know how much time I can buy you. You probably got about like a minute or something. So Matt and Karen start talking. They apologize because the last time they saw each other was when Matt saved Dex from Karen shooting him, and so they kind of apologize for that. And then they start talking, and Karen's like, I have to stay and deal with him in court. You can't take me. Matt's like, oh yeah, I know. And then they start talking, and he's just like, he's gonna humiliate you in court. He's gonna do all this crap with a bunch of witnesses. And she's like, that means there's gonna be cameras. And they're like, yeah. And Matt's like, we're gonna have to cross some lines, but not the ones you're thinking of. And she kind of gives us a look like, huh? And then she figures it out, and she's like, Matt, you can't do that. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. And then Mahoney's like, it's time to wrap it up, guys. So they share a little kiss, and they're just like, be safe and everything. And then Mahoney puts Karen back in the cell and leaves, which means he doesn't show up for the rest of the episode, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, he is going to be in the next episode, because if you watch the trailers, he's in a couple shots that were not in this. So he's going to be in the next episode, which is awesome. And I really hope he returns in season 3 or season 6, depending on how you look at it, because I really like that character. And he's been there since the first episode. Like, he was in the first episode. He's been there since the beginning, so I'm just happy he's returned. And then you get the Hawk in Fisk's office, kind of talking about what they're going to do with Karen. And he's just kind of going over what Karen's being charged for. And he's like, and Fisk is like, you need to get her on all these. Like, you need to charge her for all these. And the Hawk's like, I don't know. And Fisk is like, you need to. And Hawk's like, okay. And then Heather shows up, and her and the Hawk have a little bit of a talk. And then he leaves, and Heather sits down, and they start talking about lawyers and stuff. And she's just kind of talking about the Hawk, and Fisk is like, he makes my skin crawl. And then he starts talking about lawyers, and he's like, lawyers are always twisting words. You probably know a lot about that. We both do. And obviously they're talking about Matt. And then they start talking about how Fisk is doing. She's like, how are you holding up, and he's like, no one's asked me that. And he gives this little speech about love, and he's like, I always thought that I would be caged in love, like I would die with love. And he's like, but now I'm just gonna die like lonely. Yeah. And then Heather's like, yeah, no one ever tells the truth in times of crisis. They're always trying to spin this crap, but they never tell the truth, and they never really ask how you're doing. And then Fisk reaches into his desk and pulls out the other earring, and Heather, like, immediately, like, without even trying to be like, oh, what's going on, she's just like, I'm sorry for stealing it. I thought I would have more control and everything. And Fisk is like, you don't have to apologize. Obviously, you would think you would have more impulse control, but who does? And then she takes the other earring. And then Karen and Christian show up to the court. But before the trial starts, you get a cut to Daniel and BB, where they're kind of talking about what's going on. Daniel's freaking out because obviously now he knows who BB is. And BB's just like, he killed my uncle. And Daniel's like, you don't know that. And she's like, yeah, I do, and you do too. And then she's like, I made the BB report when I was in college. I used everything I had. And then you guys kind of just took it and turned it into this stupid puff piece. And then Daniel's like trying to think of how to get out of there. And he's like, I got this friend that can get us a safe house. And then you see him texting, and he texts Buck. And then it shows Buck and Fisk, and Buck's just like, Daniel's proving to be really useful. And then Fisk is just like, do you think that Karen Page knows that she's basically being the wounded soldier in the field, drawing her allies into this clearing? And then you get the trial starting. You get the opening statements, where you get the Hawk giving his stuff, and then Christian giving her stuff. The Hawk's just like, yeah, she's bad, blah, blah, blah. And Christian starts talking about, what is a vigilante? Is a vigilante someone who breaks the rules and the laws, or is a vigilante our last defense for those laws? When nothing else will work, are they like our last defense? And I think that's kind of like a little bit of what the argument was in Captain America Civil War. So it's kind of cool seeing it done like in a different way in this, but like it's kind of like the same core elements. And then you get the grand return of Matthew Murdock, where Christian's like, I want to bring in my co-counsel. The Hawk's like, you're already falling back on a co-counsel already. And then Matthew Murdock shows up, and he's like, Matthew Murdock for the defense, Your Honor. And it's just awesome seeing him back as Matt instead of Daredevil. Obviously, I love Daredevil, and seeing him as Daredevil for most of the season was awesome, especially since season 1 was mostly Matthew Murdock. But just as in season 1, when he finally returns as Daredevil, it's awesome. And this season, seeing him return as Matt was also amazing. I'm extremely happy that Matt is back. And then you get them questioning Powell, and Matt's just like, what is your job, basically? And Powell's like, to catch criminals and everything by the fullest extent of the law. And Matt's like, fullest extent of the law? That sounds serious. And then Powell's like a heart attack, kind of poking a little jab at Sherry, who obviously had a heart attack in the first episode. And then Matt is like, who started the task force? And Powell's like, Mayor Fisk, and Matt's like, okay. And then you get Cole coming up to the stand where Christian is questioning him, and she's just like, so how did you get these scars? And he's like, I got them at Matthew Murdock's apartment. I was attacked by the Punisher and Daredevil. And then Christian's like, was the defendant there? Talking about Karen. And he's like, I was told that she was the getaway driver. And I think that before that, Christian's like, why were you there? And Cole's like, we were just doing a welfare check. And she's like, a welfare check with guns? serious talk where for a blind lawyer, and then that gets the crowd kind of laughing, and then that's when she's just like, so was the defendant there? He was like, I was told she was in a getaway driver, and then she's like, who were you told by? And he's like, Powell, and she's like, were you also told by Powell to kill Hector Ayala, or was that Fisk? And then the girl in charge, what's it called? Can't think. The judge, sorry. The judge is like, there's no jury here, so you gotta stop with that. And Kristen's like, are you sure there's no jury? And then it cuts to the cameras kind of showing that she's basically trying to turn the city against Fisk. And then you get a little scene with the governor where she calls someone and she's just like, hey, I'm ready to stand up. We got to get Fisk out of there, but we need to do it quick and as fast as we can. And then you get Daniel and BB showing up to the safe house. And Daniel's just like, I've done things. I went out into like the woods with Buck to bury a body. And then he gets out of the car and has her get out, and she's like, this isn't a safe house, is it? And he like grabs her, trying to drag her in, and she's just like trying to break away. And she breaks away, and then she's like, is this really who you want to be? They have a conversation, and it's just like, he's not holding you. You could run away. Like, I get what they're doing for the scene, but it's like, if it was me, and like the second he let go, I would have bolted. I don't care what. I would have bolted. But, then he has a little bit of a change of heart, and he's just like, dang it. He's like, okay, take your phone, get out of here. And she's like, thank you. Because they both probably know that he's probably about to die. And he's just like, just make it count. And then the court gets adjourned until tomorrow. And then, Matt is getting Karen is getting taken away. And he's like, it's okay. And he kind of, with his radar senses, like, he knows that Cole and Powell and the task force isn't leaving, so he, like, looks at Kirsten, and he's like, they're not leaving, are they? And she's like, no, they're not. So, Matt's just like, and Powell gives him a little smile, and then you get a little scene that kind of transition into the next scene, but it's with Fisk sitting on his bed, which I think is, that's all he does for the rest of the episode. And then you get Matt and Christian getting escorted into the parking garage by, like, Cherry and some of the cops. And they're, like, scoping out the parking garage. And then they're like, come. And as Matt and Christian are running, Matt hears the task force coming in the car. So he's like, run! And then an attack starts. The task force starts shooting at everyone. A cop gets shot, like, right in front of Matt and Kirsten. And then Cherry and them start laying down cover fire. Matt's like, get her out of here. And Christian's like trying to yell for Matt, like, Matt, come on. And then Matt gets shot in, I think it was the leg. It might have been like the chest area where Bullseye was shot as well, but I think it was the leg. But he gets shot in the leg, and then like he does this little twist as he's falling and chucks his cane. It gets stuck in the car wheel, so the guy can't turn it, and they crash. Real quick. Did he kill that guy or not? I don't think he did because it's Daredevil, but at the same time, he, like, chucks that thing, and it looks like it might be, like, got stuck in the guy. So I don't think he's dead, but I guess there is a little bit of a chance that the guy just, like, got skewered. But then you get a little scene with the governor, and someone shows up to her house and starts choking her with, like, a wire. And then 2 knives get thrown into his arms, and then one bounces off the chandelier into his head. And then Bullseye shows up and gives the governor a little salute, like, hey, I saved you. And then it shows him walking away. He's obviously got his mask off by this time, and he's, like, smiling. Like, he's so proud of himself that he did that. And it was awesome. Just, like, he looks so happy about with himself. He's just like, I did it. And then you get Daniel confronting Buck, and Buck's just like, where is she? And Daniel's like, I think she had a birthday party. So Buck takes off his jacket and starts putting on gloves, and he's like, we both know that you're going to end up telling me eventually. And Daniel's just like, screw you. And then Buck starts beating the crap out of Daniel. Yeah, and then you get a scene with Karen and Heather, where Heather is going to question Karen with the same question she questioned swordsman with in episode 1. And Karen's just like, yeah, we both know that's an outdated test. I can game it and everything. So Heather's just like, fine. And then Karen starts talking about Matt without mentioning Matt, and she's just like, I'm in love with this guy who's like very secretive and all this stuff. I sleep in, and like when we're sleeping at night, he's right next to me in the bed and everything, and I just don't know what's going on and everything. And like I feel like I can't remember the exact words she said, but she's like saying something, and then Heather's like, that's a problem, right? And then she says something kind of being like kind of a douche. But then Karen's like, yeah, but it's also like kind of cute. She didn't say that, but and then Heather brings up Karen's dead brother and starts talking about him, and is like, it was a very weird conversation, because it's just it was like she said something about the dead brother, and Karen's like, it was nothing like that, and I was just like, jeez. And then she brings up like how she killed Wesley and all this, and then Karen brings up Vanessa and is like, you were friends with Vanessa, weren't you? You know she killed Foggy, right? And then you get a little scene with Muse in the background, but you don't see Muse, like he's blurred, but it's him in like Heather's mind. And then Heather starts like slapping Karen, and Karen's like, is that all you got? And she's like, no, we have to do this again sometime. And Karen's like, can't wait. I kind of wish that they went the route where Karen, like, because I'm guessing Karen probably knows what happened with her and Muse. I kind of wish that, because Heather was like saying stuff about her brother and stuff, I kind of wish that Karen started like, how did you feel when Muse was hurting you? And because there was a scene where Heather is talking about, I think it was Wesley, and she's like, did that make you feel powerful? I kind of wish that they did like the other side of that, where Ken's like, so you killed Muse, did that make you feel powerful? I kind of would have liked that, but it didn't happen. And then it cuts back to Buck and Daniel, and as Buck's like beating him, it like you can see it on his face, like he doesn't want to do it, but it's like his job. And then Daniel gives him like this little talk where he's just like, you know, I was like on Fisk's side as well. I was a trusted guy, you know that, and now I'm here. You're gonna be next, trying to get Buck to back down. And then you get Matt in a church, and he's praying, and like he's just sitting there praying, and then you get Fisk, a little scene of Fisk crying, and then Jessica shows up at the church, and as Matt ends his prayer, Buck shoots Daniel, and Daniel dies. And then the rest of the episode, the last like couple seconds of the episode, Buck puts on his jacket, like takes a little look at Daniel, and then leaves. I'm kind of happy that Daniel's gone, because I wasn't a big fan of his character, but at the same time, I couldn't help but feel a little bit sad when he died. But I will throw a bone. I'm just going to throw a bone real quick, like, hey, he might be alive, because when Buck shoots him, you get it from this stance where he's, like, standing over him, and it zooms out, and it shows Buck pull the trigger, and then Daniel's head, like, snaps back. So, he's probably dead, but I guess there is a slight chance that he's still alive, because it doesn't, like, zoom in or anything after that and show, like, blood or anything. Like, obviously, it's probably he's dead, but I'm trying to throw a bone and just be like, there is a chance he's still alive. Buck might not have done it, and like that was just like Daniel flinching, and then maybe Daniel's alive, but he's probably dead. And does that suck? Yes, because I do feel in these last couple episodes with Daniel, I started to grow and like him a little bit more, but I mean, I don't really have anything else to say. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Daniel, and if he's dead, he's dead. But that was the Hateful Darkness. That was the end of the episode. I loved it. It was amazing. It was awesome seeing the return of Murdock. Seeing Dex and Matt team up a little bit was cool. Seeing Jessica a little bit more was nice. She's going to be in the next episode as well, because obviously at the end she's rescuing Matt with the bullet wound. And then there's been a couple scenes from the trailers that show her fighting with him in the hallway. White Tiger is going to return as well in the next episode because of some of those trailer shots. And I've heard a lot of things about the next episode and how everyone's going to be like, holy crap, the way it ends. And so I think that because the last couple videos I've done spoiler warnings for season 3 because of some of the set photos, I'll do it this time again. Spoiler for Daredevil season 3 and potentially the end of this season. 3, 2, 1. I think the season is ending with Matt in jail. Now, whether that is Matt going to jail with his identity as Daredevil, like, put out to the world, or as just Matt Murdock, I think he's going to be in jail because Mike Coulter, the guy who plays Luke Cage, released some set photos, and one of them was showing him and Karen, and then Matt in a photo, or him, Charlie, and Deborah in a photo, and Charlie, aka Matt, was in a orange jumpsuit, which usually you wear at jail. So I think that either Daredevil or Matthew Murdock or Daredevil Matt Murdock is going to be in jail. I don't know exactly which one. I can see a version of it where it's him as Daredevil, and then, well, maybe not. Okay. I think it's either going to be Matt Murdock put in jail or Daredevil with his identity put out as Matthew Murdock. Because if they bring in Matt Murdock, he's been missing for all these months, and then Daredevil goes to jail, and then Matt Murdock goes missing again, that would be a bit weird, I think. There is a way they could do it, but I think that would be a bit weird. So I can either see it being, hey, Matthew Murdock is put in jail, or Daredevil outs his identity and then is put in jail. I hope Powell dies. I really hope he dies. I think Buck's going to survive, because I think that the actor said he's filming for season 3. I hope we see Dex again. Maybe we can see Luke or Iron Fist in a little cameo. Obviously, they're going to be in season 3, but I hope that they cameo. Kingpin. Okay, other spoilers for season 3. Kingpin at the end of the season, through set photos of season 3 and some of what we've heard of season 3, Kingpin at the end of this season is going to obviously be cut off from being mayor, which we all expected. And then he's going to retreat to a private island, because in season 3 it looks like he comes back to help Matt Murdock and Karen Page with something. So that's going to be kind of cool, seeing them have to like be on the same side. And then Heather is obviously going to be Lady Muse. I talked about that in the last episode. But yeah, the finale is going to be awesome, and I just cannot wait for that. And then we got the Punisher special presentation a week after that, and then we have to, hopefully, Daredevil is in Brand New Day, and then we have to wait for season 3 next year, which kind of sucks that we have to wait a year, but there's a chance that Daredevil is in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and then Charlie Cox will be voicing Daredevil in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2, so even if we don't get him in Brand New Day, he will be in some form Daredevil again this year, which I can't wait for. But until then, I will see you for the next episode, and then I will have a video that just kind of goes over my thoughts for the whole season, and then I'll have a ranking of all the seasons, and then I'll try and come up with maybe a couple other Daredevil videos, and then if not, I'll have a couple of videos for the Punisher special presentation. I'll have a review of that, and then I will have a ranking of either all the Punisher movies, which I'll include the special presentation since it's like a 60-minute short movie, or I'll just do the Punisher projects, including the show, but I don't know yet. I'll figure it out. That being said, tell me in the comments what you thought of this episode, because I thought that it is yet another 5 out of 5 for this season. There's been one episode this season that I thought was a 4.5 out of 5. That was episode 2. But tell me what you thought of the episode, and I will see you for the next episode. See you in a little bit.